indeed. It is 27 degrees right here in the nation's capital. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Kayla Megwa. Ayo, we were just talking about our kids writing JAMB yesterday, and we were wishing them all the best. And talking about security while we're writing JAMB, and juxtaposing the realities that the children who are writing exams right now have to face vis-a-vis what we had to deal with when we were writing the exact same exam. And we said, it's the reality of our time. We commended the armed forces and the police really for, making more policemen available at these CBT centers across the country, hoping that these exams will go hitch-free. Only for this story to come out from Benue State. And we'll be talking to our correspondent. I think we should go straight into it, because this is one of those situations where we need to understand what's going on. The story is a very interesting story. But let's get from our correspondent. I hope he's there. Pius Angbo is our correspondent in Benue. Pius, are you there?
Yeah.
Pius, can you hear us?
I can tell you.
Good morning, Pius. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but we're trying to get an idea of where things are right now in Benue. What's going on right now with the situation of these students that have been kidnapped on their way to write JAMB?
Good morning, Stella. I can hear you. Welcome to Benue. Yeah. Today we got information about the kidnapping of 17 candidates who traveled from Makati. Exam paper is Metropolitan Government. The manager of Benue he said the driver loaded from Otikota, which is in Makati, after 6 p.m. when the manager of that park had closed. And the standing policy from Benue in the case of this insecurity that no drivers will be on the road not to 6 p.m. because you can't predict what will happen on the road. Because this is not the first time, this is not the second time, this has happened. They get your 1 kilometer just before you put out. And so they have asked them to stop outside. And so the driver is in custody of the police and coming to what the as I said, because he didn't take care of the first prospect. He said the driver came to the park and wanted to drive empty the school and met this candidate who said them to sit for their exam. And put on them he got to attract them, and this happened. That is the one also having that the and exam board and these people the way they're supposed to see yesterday they had set from fund the local government in zone A going to a local government in zone C. They got 5 hours they go and see for their recently exam there because of where their center is located. Then it helps address movement of people and it reduce incidents like this. But the is also between these where it's about there's a military checkpoint, but there's a military barracks there. Between that place and the location is 1 hour. We have police checkpoints there. We have a whole lot of activities around that place, but it's happening currently and it's not addressed. The forest is still a checkpoint and it's happening. That would be pushing back to running between railway and a local government. But I don't see any military action dealing with that forest to close them out because therefore the government gave directive to the security agency to block out money from Benue forest. Bring the attack and killing of high value people in a community and validate community and political government. Just another attack on two cars along where 21 persons were killed. And Benue is killing people. We are not seeing security agencies implementing directly to block this body. And that's why this is happening because like a free for them.
Pius, if you can hear me, I mean, we did hear quite a bit of what you were saying, although it was a little, it was breaking there from time to time. I need an update from you on the police in Benue State. What are they saying? What's Benue Link saying? And I don't know if I was hearing you correctly. The driver escaped and one other passenger when this happened. So where's Benue Links on their investigations into why a rule that they created to keep passengers safe was broken? Was this driver one of their drivers? How did all of this happen in a time when security is of the utmost importance? How far have they gone with the investigations? And what is Governor Hyacinth Alia saying about all of this right now?
To start with, the driver and one passenger escaped the particle from when it happened while they were robbing the 17 others and took them into the food. The first notice of this was it should be by Ogai from that they were not to should be one with the SPC who was giving account. Yes, so the driver and one of the SPC or somebody who escaped at his account. The company has said that the driver is still as a practice suspect because of violation of sample guide and suggestive guide. But it is not the vehicles that are always not on the road want a quick clear to avoid this incident because it has happened the first time on that particular 1 kilometer stretch just before you enter the town. And so the company is taking this seriously. The managing director said of the police. Oh, yes, yes, I saw that guy because it is not a pastor official like company to travel outside it is particularly get the exam right for their future are facing this kind of trauma, it is important for to be earlier for their security and think about objectives. Because the directive, like I said, is not in any security approach to say that it is implemented. Because that when they are far in the after we do not know, we are doing the other security issues, what happened for years, in city of this thing you have. We have made inquiries, but nothing is coming from security and this is where we are. I hope that where we need help from the security agents, especially the police state, to know what they are doing to rescue these children.
I didn't quite hear the governor's. Has the governor himself, has he spoken to the people of Benue State? Is there any kind of assurance from the governor himself at this time?
Yes, he spoke through the chief secretary, press secretary when he issued the
He spoke through his press secretary?
And then they are starting people and asking security to deal with that. But there hasn't been any official place has not over him, but they are using the system for them to act and directing that all be done to rescue children. That's the latest communication we have to the government regarding this incident.
That's a very interesting dynamic there. So the Commissioner of Police, just so we can inform our viewers, the Commissioner of Police said he was in Otukpo. He had mobilized the police team in the area, including divisional police officers, in the bid to rescue the victims. I'm going to quote him. He said out of the 14 passengers, like we said earlier, one was able to escape. He says, I'm in Otukpo now with my team and DPOs are here in the bush and I'm heading the operation. What happened, he says, was that a Benue Links bus carrying passengers coming from Otukpo was stopped and attacked by, he says, hoodlums, and 14 passengers were kidnapped, but one was able to escape. We know that Benue Links has a policy that they do not usually drive at night. So from what I got, they had already closed for the day, but the driver, for reasons best known to him, still moved in the night. We're still trying to find out why he moved in the night and the passengers he picked up along the road. But as we are investigating, we're on the ground to make sure that the victims are rescued. So there are balls dropped on several levels when it comes to this particular matter. How was the bus driver able to even access? If the place is closed, how did he have access to the place? Who are all those in collusion with this? So there are heads that should be rolling from Benue Links, and then of course wherever this kidnapping happened, what kind of police or security apparatus do we have on that road? and things. And then what makes this particularly tragic, I don't know if Pius can still hear me, what makes this particularly tragic is the fact that these are people going to write exams. And I don't know if the education authorities in Benue State have said anything about this, Pius. Have you heard anything from JAMB about this matter?
But yesterday, while we're doing a call around to make sure there have been the official response from them in regards to their students or their candidates being involved in this incident. For the Benue government and police, what they are doing. But I can see that it's not something because this is just one incident of
All right, I think Ayo, yeah, I think Ayo has a few questions for you, and maybe you can help us to tell us exactly where you are as well. But Ayo will be asking you a few questions now.
all right.
Mm, mm. When we started our conversation with Pius, I think one of the first things I said was this story. This story reeks of carelessness. And let's go back to Benue. let's situate what's going on in Benue, and we're looking at just 2026. We took the liberty of getting you some of the things that have happened in Benue just in 2026. You can have that up on the screen. In Guma local government area, Yelwata, site of June 2025 massacre. The case is still ongoing. 150 killed, 3,000 displaced. Kwande local government area, Abande community, Mbaiko ward, Turan, Anwase community, Mbaiko ward in Turan, Representative Ugbo, scores killed, that's what he said. Markets looted, razed, warned the area is becoming a major security hotspot. Akpan local government area, Akpete community, Asaba community, Ediku, Ankpali, Ikobi, Adija, farmers ambushed returning from cashew farms in the area. Several were killed, 6 missing, and the girl was abducted. Otupo local government area, in Ubu village, Ado local government area, attacks reported between Monday to Tuesday at that time, alongside Ohimni local government area. Ohimni local government area. 5 killed in fresh attacks with Ado local government area. Gwe West local government area, listed among forested areas with suspected herdsmen camps targeted for clearance by Governor Hyacinth Alia. Agatu, local government area, listed among local government areas with renewed attacks in 2026. Ukum, local government area, Diom settlement seized by armed herders October of 2025, and the fallout of that continued in 2026. Other local government areas are still under siege in Benue, 17 of the 23 local government areas in total. Is this indicative of a collapse of government? It's too many. 17 out of 21 is too many. But 17 out of 23, it almost looks like something needs to be done about Benue State. And this is just this year. If we're calculating since last year, we might be here all morning, Ayo. Some people have said that maybe a state of emergency would be apt in this particular case. But what makes this particular situation dire is because our children were picked on their way to write exams. And Ayo, we were just talking about it yesterday. We were just saying that, send us videos, let us know what's going on. We assumed that with the security information that came out, that led to the extra deployment of security agencies at jam centers, that everything was fine. And like you stated, I think maybe we forgot that the roads needed to be secure as well. So people who were even coming to write the exams had to be dealing with a situation that we have kept to cook for a very long time. 17 of 23 local government areas in Benue State under siege. That is not good news. Ayo, where are we dropping the ball when it comes to state governance? Oh. No, I think we're having a bit of Paris is we're not able to reach Paris, but we'll be trying throughout the course of the program to see if we can get in touch with him. With the reports we're getting is that the network there is really poor. But that's the situation. That's where we are in Benue State. You've seen what's been going on. We're looking at what is happening right now and listening to hear how much work is being done to rescue these ones and make sure that this doesn't happen again. It's too disappointing and too sad for this to be happening again, over and over again in this part of Nigeria. While we simmer on that, we're going to short break. We'll continue our security conversation when we come back. Stay with us.
The best defender is Basil.
These can best be described as a combined graduation ceremony as 3 batches of the de-radicalization, rehabilitation and reintegration program of Operation Safe Corridor take their exit from the camp at Malam Sidi in Gombe State. De-radicalizing repentant criminal elements with the aim of reintegration into the society is at the heart of the Operation Safe Corridor initiative.
These clients have undergone a comprehensive program that includes psychosocial support, vocational training, religious reorientation, civic education, and behavioral transformation.
The commandant of the camp provides an overview of the program, just as the initiative received support from stakeholders.
During the program, clients were taken through various therapeutic intervention and engagements. The spiritual counselors worked diligently to counter the false ideology and narrative of the Christian and Islamic religion that had been hitherto impacted on the clients.
For graduates, the real test of this program begins upon leaving the camp. The skills and livelihood starter kits acquired, whatever the trade, must be applied consistently as graduates look to the next chapter.
This program reflects the federal government commitment, peace building by Mr. President, and the legalization, rehabilitation, and reintegration repentant individual into the society.
The need for a deliberate strategy to promote peace is highlighted.
Nigeria's firm belief that while kinetic operations are necessary to neutralize threats, lasting peace can only be achieved when we address the underlying drivers of de-radicalization, disengagement, and disintegration.
With the graduation of 744 clients armed with various vocational skills, the DRR camp of Operation Safe Corridor has graduated 3,325 clients since its inception over a decade ago.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Pius is back on the phone with us. And if you've just joined us, the police in Benue State are saying that the passengers traveling on a Benue Links bus were abducted Wednesday night. 14 passengers, and 14 of them were mainly Joint Admission and Matriculation Board candidates en route from Makurdi to Otupo local government area of the state. The Commissioner of Police, Ifeanyi Emenari, confirmed the abduction to journalists yesterday. And we have Pius, our correspondent in Benue State. Thanks again, Pius, for being with us. Just before we went on that break, we took our time to do a breakdown of attacked areas in Benue State. 17 out of 23 local government areas. What do you see on ground? Because I know you do community reports all over Benue State. And of course, I've seen you engage with the essay to the president on community relations in Benue, talking about what's happening in these local government areas. Can you give us a sense of how the residents in Benue are dealing with this massive insecurity?
Thank you, Taylor. Benue has been in the news for some reason since 2018, when that New Year Day attack happened, claimed 73 lives in Guma and Logo local government. Since then, you've had about 14 IDP camps with over 2 million as at the time the last administration was in office. When this government came in 2023, it went to work to begin to drive home policies on resettlement and reintegration of the people through the durable solutions working with the United Nations. And yes, so insecurity dropped significantly at some point. But because of the perhaps military actions in parts of the country, particularly in the north, we're seeing a drift down here, because before then, towards the twilight of the last administration, gold deposits in commercial quantity were found in Kwande local government. And a replica of what you see in Zamfara began to surface in Kwande local government. So much that at one night, the Commissioner for Justice then went with our team to Kwande in the night, where some gold and human resources were taken illegally and were trapped. The next day they went to the site of the mining. You could see the palpable tension and fear. So residents have been chased out of that area. It's along that tour going to Abande to the Cameroon's hill. And this is what is happening in Kwande. And so you have that unrest besides the alleged suspected herdsmen attacks in those places. You have the bandit activities. You have the mining crisis going there. And that place has become a very hotbed for crime and killings, such that the governor had even visited the place, that there's lack of communication there, so the people can't call for SOS distress calls. Governor has promised to work with telecom agencies, communication agencies to install one there so that people can communicate. Also, access road, you have to drive through a wooden bridge to pass. That's another aspect the governor said he's going to address. So, open up those communities to civilization. But it has significantly affected majority of farming communities from Guma to Kwande to Logo to Katunala to Ukum to Akpapa, Agatu, Makurdi, way west, Otupo as it is. You can't see people farming like they used to. Driving from Makurdi to Lafia, you see vast communities abandoned. People are trapped in little communities because of safety now, because if you understand the chief settlement, they would settle in maybe a family settle large expanse of hectares of land because they
I don't.
go to the
Pius, I don't
farm.
know if, okay, he's back. Yes, go ahead.
People no longer access their farm as they would. So you are seeing food inflation across Benue and across Nigeria because these communities used to be the hub for production of yam, cassava, soybean, sorghum, maize. Now none of these are happening because our people have been displaced, communities have been moved, sacked, and these headsmen, these bandits, these whatever occupy these communities. And the governor has repeatedly worked with security agencies to deal with this problem. At his latest directive, when he asked them to chase bandits out of Benue forest, if that were to take place, we'll see our people back home doing what they know how to do, and this will begin to address the question of food security, security for social security for the people, and these kind of incidents are happening in Otukpo. We saw that happened in Balom. In Balom, for instance, in 2018, 17 worshippers and 2 priests were murdered at an early morning mass. In 2014, in 2004, they went, no, 2024, they went there again, killed 9 persons.
Yeah.
2026, Easter Eve, they killed 21 persons. These are indications of insecurity that security agencies must begin to work intelligently to deal with what is on ground.
Pius, on
this
that
period,
note,
you saw Plateau, you saw
just on that note, Pius, if you can hear me, what happened after Yelwata? Because the president, yes, he did not go to the place, but we saw a deployment of security or take charge. He even scolded the service chiefs at the time. Some of them have become ministers now. But there was that whole drive that we are sending all of every single thing that we can to Benue to ensure that this is stopped, because it's too many local government areas, too many people being affected, and like you mentioned, food security is affecting all of us in this country. What happened afterwards? Are those security formations still there? Are they working? What happened?
I will tell you for a fact that Kota is the first community on the Benue side with the boundary with Nasarawa State. When that incident happened, the president came, he gave charge. And of course, you notice in court, they are prosecuting about 9 suspects. That's on the legal part. But because it is a border community, Nasarawa does not have a law restraining or prohibiting open grazing. And it remains a porous route. These people are bandits. They do not work with a conventional law. So even if you say you have police and army detachment as you have in Yelwata right now, you can't ensure absolute peace. You know why? The land is massive. People live across the land, and these bandits will sneak in from an angle, shoot and kill. Before you have security response, they would have had the element of surprise and do what they want to do. After Yelwata, there has been 2 attacks that claim lives there. So the Benue State government is working with the UN agencies and the security agencies. This has relatively returned. When the Deputy Secretary General of United Nations came to Benue last week, she went to Yelwata with the governor, and we interviewed the youth leader, and he said before now they could not go 2-3 kilometers to farm. But because of improved security, they are able to farm now in Yelwata. Just as the monies donated from the First Lady and Nasarawa State government is being used on the left flank to build resettlement homes for IDPs, about 360 of those units are going on. But you see, the problem is that's just Yelwata as a case for a community in Benue State. We have porous border between Awe and Nasarawa and Guma local government. Between Kiana and Guma local government, we have porous border between Taraba and Ukum local government and Logo local government. We have porous border between Makodi, Way West, Akatu, all from the Rukudi axis of Nasarawa State. If we don't have security approach that has forward operational basis that mounts these porous routes, we will keep having the incursion, and those ones already in the forest, if they are not dislodged, you will certainly have them have a strong footing in the operations like you saw. This one that happened in Otukpo isn't some outsider, it's in the forest. And I mentioned that forest between Bamodu in Gwewe and Otukpicho in Otukpo local government is a free zone for security agencies. Know this. Why are they not moving in there? What is the reason why we have this intelligence but we will not see action masked to this intelligence and our people are falling victims on a daily basis? It is to say that both the federal government, the state government, security agencies must walk the talk beyond visitation, beyond condemnation, and go put on the ground to deal with the situation. Otherwise, children whose future we are building this country for would not even enjoy it.
Well, Pius, if you can hear me.
All right, Pius, it's a very precarious situation. I do have to urge you to stay safe and you know, good reporting there. And thank you for all the work that you continue to do. And our greetings to everyone in Benue State.
Thank you very much, Kayla.
All right, our security conversation continues, like I said earlier. And we have a guest in our Lagos studios. Ayo, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Kayla. You know, one of the things that I was hoping to take Pius on was the issue of what the large expanse of land that we have now become famously known as ungoverned spaces. Still baffles me. But that's one of the questions we'll be posing to General Ishola Williams, who is here with us in the studio. He's a former chairman, Nigerian chapter of Transparency International, former commander, Army Signals, former commander, Training and Doctrine, TRADOC, former chief of Defense Training and Planning. He's here with us in the studio. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
One of the things that our correspondent talked about there is the issue of ungoverned spaces, and that is what is responsible for you know, the attack that happened to those students who are going to write JAM. And I also recall that about 2 months ago, the federal government they made known their plans to invite retired veterans such as yourself to operate in ungoverned spaces. How did you receive that news?
No. What is happening is this, is that people tend to forget, especially the people in government, policy making, and the military, and so on. There's a statement which was made about 300 years ago that if you separate thinking men from fighting men, you are going to end up having fools as commanders and cowards as fighters. Because if you cannot think, you cannot fight, you'll be like an idiot. And to me, it appears that nobody seems to be thinking, either in the Ministry of Defense or in the presidency. So the basic challenge we have now is that if that thinking is not taking place, we are wasting our time.
So you think that you think that there is not good thinking to invite retired personnel to serve?
If for example, you've been fighting something for the past 50 years, and you do not think that it's very necessary for you to say, why is it not getting better? And what do we need to do? You do a SWOT. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities you are missing? And what are the threats that you need to face? Is there anybody doing that in government? Is there anybody doing that in Ministry of Defense? Okay. Because if they have been doing that, by now, we could have been able to solve the problem. Now, I also kept repeating that we must separate public safety from territorial integrity. The army was set up for territorial integrity. That is, nobody that is invading Nigeria can succeed in occupying a single territory or a single space in Nigeria. That's what the army is set up for. Two, if you don't want to do it properly, you capacitate the army, in fact the whole military, Air Force, Navy and everything, to deter anybody from trying to take advantage of Nigeria. Now, and I keep asking one question. Who wants to invade Nigeria or attack Nigeria, occupy Nigeria today? Which country? Who are the people? Therefore, your problem is not an army problem. Your problem is public safety. Like the one you've been talking about now, with respect to the abduction of these UTME poor children going for exams. It is a public safety issue. It's not a security issue. A public safety, if you cannot move from one place to the other, it's a public safety problem. But the point is this, is that even the police itself does not realize that public safety lies squarely on the shoulder of the police. Now, secondly, now that everybody has accepted, including the president, that public safety starts from the bottom, that is, community, LGA, state. If there is no problem at community level, you have no problem at LGA level. If there is no problem at LGA level, you have no problem at the state level. So what's the business of federal government? And the IGP was removed. They brought it a new one. Instead of that gentleman to sit down and say, where is it that my predecessor has failed? What did he do? He formed a committee of senior police officers and one civilian and one professor. I don't even know where I got the professor from. And they submitted a report to National Assembly about the state police. When you read from what I've read, it is obvious that that gentleman was trying to keep his job. Because all these public safety issues, if we have got an independent paramilitary police, separate commands, reporting to the Minister of Interior, because that's what happens all over the world, we could have been able to solve all this public safety problem. What's happening now? The police sits down on top of Mopol. So, we have confused policing with Mopol, the paramilitary job. And I have been saying that remove Mopol from the police and call it a federal paramilitary force.
What problem will that solve?
The problem.
What problem will it solve?
It will solve because, like, you have created the civil defense with a mandate. In fact, those ones too, they are confused too. In fact, the whole of security agencies are confused because they have different mandates. So if you have a paramilitary force now, what will happen is that the army will pull back, the paramilitary force will take over. Banditry, kidnapping, abduction, it will be the job of the paramilitary police. And that paramilitary police that you have formed will back up the state police. We don't back up the state police. In case the state police needs them, you get my point. Because this one of abduction is not the job of the army, it's the job of the state police.
So, but there is that thing that the Chief of Defense Staff, and the Minister of Defense has said, that they're proposing that retired personnel should go help with the ungoverned spaces. Do you think it will solve any problem?
That's a lot of crap. It's a lot of crap talk. It's a lot of crap talk.
You know, he's a retired general himself.
He's a retired, it's a crap talk. If, for example, you have a local government, which area is that local government covering? How does it become an government space? Tell me now. Crap!
So you don't believe that there is any ungoverned space in
Nigeria? There are no government because you have local government. You have communities in those areas. You just tell me which area of Nigeria hasn't got a local government area. So how can it become an ungoverned space?
Okay.
We tend to depend intellectually on whatever the Western world describes anything that's happening in Africa. We do not think.
Now, there's this other one. Recently, the Arewa Consultative Forum.
The what?
Arewa Consultative Forum, the Northern Socio-Political. They made a statement. They said that we are now in a state of war, particularly because of the pockets of insecurity occurrences happening all over the place. Do you agree with them?
It's all trash talk. Trash. I keep telling you, you have a public safety issue, form the community policing and the state police. They'll take care of all this trash talk. Then you have a federal paramilitary force who will back them up in case they cannot take care of the problem. So where the problem? Akpabio, who is a joker and a comedian, as the president of the Senate, is now telling everybody that because of election, that's why all this is happening. Is he really smart?
But there are many people who have said that sometimes there is insecurity increases when elections are approaching because some people, some political actors are trying to gain supremacy.
No, but the point is that since the time of Buhari, we've been seeing increase in all these public safety issues. And one thing you notice in Nigeria is that when black people are talking about election, do you ever see a manifesto on public safety issues? Have you ever had a political party in Nigeria come out openly to discuss public safety issues? Have you ever had any group of people to push a political party to discuss public safety issues? Have you ever had? So we are not a serious set of people about our own public safety. Okay. So the talk about Arewa people, to me, is trash talk. Once you have community policing, state police, what will they be doing? Is that not what they should be doing?
But you also know that one of the arguments against state police that some people have made is that some political actors could use it to victimize their opponents. You agree?
You make me laugh. Why? ADC wanted to have a convention in Abuja. They couldn't find the space. They couldn't find the space. Why? It's because the power in government, the political party in government, is abusing its power, stopping the opposition from being able to do what they are supposed to do. You know, one thing is this, is that presidential system is not good for Africa. In fact, the Americans themselves, why we copy, they have now discovered that presidential system is not good. If Trump were in UK, you know, by now they could have thrown him out of government, because a simple majority in the House would have been thrown out of government. Parliamentary system, presidential system in Africa is wrong, and especially for Nigeria, and that is why every problem rests on the table of the president.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I know that Kela has a question for you in Abuja, and she was going to ask you, but you've made a distinction between public safety and security. So, what's the difference between public safety and the security or insecurity that we're talking about over time?
Now, you see, there's nothing about state security. Because if the public is safe, what security are you talking about? If the public is safe, it can move from one place to the other. If you can move from here to Abuja without getting afraid, or within my state, what security are you talking about? That is why when embassies tell people don't come to Nigeria, what word do they use? It is not safe. They don't use security. Because security means that somebody is going to attack you from outside. But the problem is inside. That's why the embassies use safety. We do not think. That's what my problem.
All right. Kela, go ahead.
No, you have to, because I can't hear well.
Go ahead.
General, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I've listened. I was actually just enjoying listening to both of you discuss our insecurity. But General, just a very important one here. What do you think the Tinubu administration is not doing right? And what should they be doing to adequately address the insecurity in Nigeria, in your view?
What I'm saying, Nigeria has no security problem. I can challenge anybody to that. Nigeria has no security problem because none of our neighbors can take up Nigeria. We are far superior to our neighbors. Okay, so nobody can take. Now, we used to say that there are some people coming to Nigeria, Lakurawa, Babarawa, and all this nonsense. Okay, now, if you have a good public safety system, you can learn a lot from the Francophone countries. All this issue we are talking about, what the Francophone countries have done is this. They built the communities into the public safety system. And how did they do that? If anybody comes into any community, even Benin Republic, once you get in there, they know. And they tell the local chief, we have strangers here. Do you have that in Nigeria?
We had it.
We don't have that. These are public safety issues. Nigeria has no security problem. None. Most importantly, the intelligence system is very, very weak. Now, people are being ambushed. Officers and men have been killed by ambushes. Recently, somebody woke up some few days ago and said that we are training our officers and soldiers in tactical intelligence against ambushes. Is it now that they are doing that? We are just, people will laugh at us. Thirdly, you brought in the Americans. What did you say you brought in the Americans for? You say 200 of them are here. What are they doing here? And they are in the Northeast. Or where are they? They gave you equipment, they brought in weapons and things like that. What are you using them for? Are we all right? Are we all right? I doubt it.
Well, so what would be your advice now? First step, next action to take for us to move forward with it. You have itemized and highlighted repeatedly the issue of public safety. And now that the president and the governors have agreed to state police, what are the things that you believe are critical for them to consider?
See, first of all, we've got to accept that we have a public safety problem. Two, we've got to reorganize the structures that are needed to deal with the problems or challenges of public safety. That we are not doing. That we are not doing. Okay. A simple example is this. You will hear that civil defense has arrested somebody. It's not a job of civil defense. What's the job of civil defense? In fact, in most countries, civil defense is a voluntary scheme for people to come in part-time to help when there's emergency or disaster. That's what civil defense. We have made it now a permanent organization. Okay. And their mandate, they are supposed to protect infrastructure, federal government infrastructure everywhere. So civil defense goes down up to local government level. What are they doing? Okay. Police go down to local government. SSS, local government level. Immigration, local government level. Custom. What are all these people doing at local government level? What are they doing? How do you create a synergy with all of them. And people keep talking about borders. You have local government at the borders, not so. We have a boundary commission. We have a boundary development commission. What are they doing, sir? Oh, I beg you, Joe.
So it looks like the conversation is a lot. We have to thank you very much this morning, and for your time and for your patience, staying with us and having this conversation. We've been speaking with General Ishola Williams, who is a former chairman, Nigerian chapter of Transparency International, former commander, Army Signals, former Commander Training and Doctrine, TRADOC, former Chief of Defense Training and Planning. He joined us here in the studio. Thank you so much for your time and all the best.
Thank you.
Well, that's Sunrise Daily today. Thank you for the privilege of being a part of your morning. On behalf of Kela Megwa, I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful rest of your day.